Mystery of stuff. The secret abandoned Seattle underground city. Seattle Underground. In 1889, a fire raged through the city, destroying 25 city blocks of wooden houses. Local leaders took the opportunity to build using stone and iron, and to place the city at a higher level. Soon a two-level Seattle took shape. The streets were graded using dirt from the surrounding hills, elevating the neighborhood as high as 35 feet. For a time, while the downtown sidewalks and shop windows were at the new street level, there were shop entrances at original ground level. That meant using lots of ladders until new sidewalks were built. According to the tour, 17 men fell to their deaths in that period. While a destructive fire was not unusual for the time, instead of rebuilding the city as it was before, city leaders made two strategic decisions. First, that all new buildings must be of stone or brick, as insurance against a similar disaster in the future, and second, that the streets should be regraded 1 to 2 stories higher than the original street grade. Pioneer Square had originally been built mostly on filled and tidelands and, as a consequence, it often flooded. The new street level also assisted in ensuring that gravity-assisted flush toilets that funneled into Elliott Bay did not back up at high tide. For the regrade, the streets were lined with concrete walls that formed narrow alleyways between the walls and the buildings on both sides of the street, with a wide alley where the street was. The naturally steep hillsides were used, and through a series of sluices material was washed into the wide alleys, raising the streets to the desired new level, generally 12 feet 3.7 meters higher than before, in some places nearly 30 feet 9.1 meters. At first, pedestrians climbed ladders to go between street level and the sidewalks in front of the building entrances. Brick archways were constructed next to the road surface, above the submerged sidewalks. Pavement lights, a form of walk-on skylight with small panes of clear glass which later became amethyst-colored, were installed over the gap from the raised street and the building, creating the area now called the Seattle Underground. When they reconstructed their buildings, merchants and landlords knew that the ground floor would eventually be underground and the next floor up would be the new ground floor, so there is very little decoration on the doors and windows of the original ground floor, but extensive decoration on the new ground floor. Once the new sidewalks were complete, building owners moved their businesses to the new ground floor, although merchants carried on business in the lowest floors of buildings that survived the fire, and pedestrians continued to use the underground sidewalks lit by the pavement lights still seen on some streets embedded in the grade-level sidewalk above. In 1907, the city condemned the underground for fear of bubonic plague, 2 years before the 1909 World Fair in Seattle, Alaska Yukon Pacific Exposition. The basements were left to deteriorate or were used as storage. Some became illegal fall-off houses for the homeless, gambling halls, speakeasies, and opium dens. Only a small portion of the Seattle Underground has been restored and made safe and accessible to the public on guided tours. In 1965, local citizen Bill Speidel established Bill Speidel's Underground Tour, which operates to this day. The two-level section of town existed until 1907, when bubonic plague hit Seattle. Look out for those rats. Panicked city leaders shut down the underground and it wasn't excavated until the 1960s. The tour was started as a way to get people to help preserve Pioneer Square. In 1970, 500,000 signatures were submitted to the government to keep it from being destroyed, and it was one of the largest historic districts in the nation at that time. On the short tour, be prepared for the underground landscape to be moderately rugged. Although the journey underground is mostly a labyrinth of walkways in a small area, there are 6 flights of stairs, and some uneven terrain, so dress for the weather and wear sensible footwear for walking. This tour is fun for older kids and teens, who will better understand and appreciate the history. Visitors can join a guided walking tour beneath Seattle's sidewalks and streets, exploring the subterranean passages that once were the main roadways and first-floor storefronts of old downtown Seattle. The guides relay stories of the city's colorful and sordid past. The tours walk through 3 blocks of the underground, including an old saloon, shop fronts, and a hotel. Mystery of stuff.